Here is your full, long, emotional, YouTube-style story, smooth pacing, deep emotions, and a hook that grabs viewers instantly. Everyone feared the billionaire's wife, until the new janitor made her look ridiculous. But nobody knew that moment would change both their lives forever. From the moment she walked into the evergreen corporate tower, people scattered like pigeons before a storm. Lydia Carrington, wife of mega tycoon Victor Carrington, didn't walk, she glided with an icy glare strong enough to freeze a summer afternoon. Employees whispered that she'd fired someone simply for sneezing too loudly in an elevator. No one dared make eye contact. No one dared breathe too freely when she passed. But all that fear, all that silent obedience, it was about to crumble because of one person. A janitor no one even knew the name of. His name was Daniel Avery. A man who kept his head down, mop in hand, backpack slung over one shoulder, and a quiet sadness clinging to him like a shadow. On his first day, Daniel arrived before sunrise, not because he wanted to impress anyone, but because he couldn't sleep. Not after losing his daughter's custody. Not after being forced to start over at the very bottom. He needed this job. He needed the paycheck. He needed hope. Little did he know, destiny was about to put him face to face with the coldest woman in the city. The hook, what happened that made millions shocked? It happened during a board meeting. A grand, luxurious room. A long glass table. Executives in suits holding their breath like schoolchildren afraid of their teacher. Lydia stood at the head, wearing diamonds worth more than most people's houses. She hated delays. She hated mistakes. She hated dirt. And unfortunately, Daniel was mopping the marble floor outside the room at that very moment. Just one wrong move, one tiny slip, one harmless accident. The wet floor sign fell. Lydia stepped out, and her high heel slid across the marble like a rocket. A gasp erupted. She flailed, wildly, dramatically, before landing flat on her back with a loud, echoing thud. Silence. Dead, suffocating silence. Executives froze. Assistants hid behind folders. Everyone prepared for a firing spree. And Daniel, the new janitor, the man everyone ignored, he rushed forward, not to apologize, not to plead, but simply because someone had fallen. He offered her his hand. She stared at him with disbelief. No one touched her without permission. No one helped her. Yet he looked at her like she was just another human being who needed a hand. Not a queen, not a threat, not a billionaire's wife, just a person. That look, that human, genuine, unafraid look. It shook something inside her. She took his hand. And that's when the cameras flashed. A journalist passing by had captured the exact moment Lydia, untouchable, feared Lydia, was pulled up by a janitor. By nightfall, the photo had gone viral. By morning, millions were laughing, making memes, calling it, the Ice Queen melted. But the world had no idea what that fall really meant. The days after, something unusual begins. Everyone at Evergreen Tower waited for Lydia to explode. But she didn't. Instead, she became quiet. Thoughtful. Almost human. She walked slower. She observed more. She even apologized once, shocking the entire 42nd floor. But the most unbelievable change. She kept noticing Daniel. How he smiled at everyone. How he took extra shifts without complaint. How he slipped food to the security guard whose mother was in the hospital. How he carried the weight of sadness even while trying to lighten others. One afternoon, she found him sitting alone in the lobby, staring at his phone, at a picture of a little girl. His daughter. Lydia approached him, hesitating like a child. "What's her name?" she asked softly. Daniel almost dropped his phone from shock. The billionaire's wife, talking to him. "Emily," he whispered. "She's 7. And why do you look like you miss her more than air?" His throat tightened. "No custody. No money to fight. I'm just trying to get my life together." Something inside Lydia cracked. Because she knew that pain. She had lived it. The world thought Lydia was cruel because she chose silence. But the truth, she had once lost a child too. A baby boy. Years before wealth and diamonds. Years before she learned to hide her heart behind ice. She never spoke of it. Not to the media. Not even to her husband. But Daniel's pain mirrored hers. And for the first time in years, she sat beside someone without pretending to be strong. A strange friendship begins. Lydia began visiting Daniel during breaks. Sometimes she walked past the mop bucket as if on accident. Sometimes she brought him a coffee and claimed it was surplus. Sometimes she simply stood by him, watching the world through his tired eyes. The employees gossiped. The ice queen is thawing. She talks to the janitor. Is she sick? Is this character development? But Lydia didn't care. And Daniel, he wasn't afraid of her. Not once. He spoke to her like she was normal. Like she wasn't worth billions. Like she wasn't feared by thousands. And that simple thing, being seen as human, was something money had never bought her. The turning point, the boardroom showdown. One morning, Lydia overheard executives mocking Daniel. Why does she talk to him? He's a nobody. She should fire him before he embarrasses her again. Those words ignited something fierce inside her. Because Daniel had done what no one else dared. He had helped her when she fell. Not because of power. Not because of fear. Because it was the right thing to do. So she stepped into the boardroom, stood tall, and slammed her hand on the table. From today, she declared, if anyone disrespects Daniel, you disrespect me. The room shook. Executives paled. Daniel, who was cleaning nearby, froze mid-mop. And another thing, Lydia added. He will be promoted to staff supervisor. With benefits. Daniel's eyes widened. Ma'am, I don't deserve. You deserve far more than this world has given you, she replied, voice breaking slightly. For the first time since her fall, people looked at Lydia not with fear, but with respect.